Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
Hey folks, Dave in the AM here with the Southern Fried Podcast and the Cornbread Nation. For many weeks now, me and Rob have been telling you about our affiliation with Dubby Energy Drinks. I've been drinking some of them on the show, and I just got in today the powder version, and this is the Pond Blom version of this. And hey, I tell you that it gives you the focus and the energy without the jitters or the crash. There's no sugars, no fillers, no artificial dyes. So get you some Dubby today. Use the promo code Southern Fried, and you'll get 10% off each and every order. Not only can you get the energy drinks, but you can also get some cool merch items. In fact, soon we're going to have a hat to show you as an example of some of those things. There's shirts and other things you can get as well as containers to mix up the powder and the water into that you can carry with you. We appreciate your support of the Southern Fried Podcast and also of Dubby Energy Drinks. We'll see you again soon. Take care. Sorry, hit the wrong button. Hey, good morning. I hadn't had all my coffee yet. Double click too fast. Good morning, Jake. How you doing, buddy? I was trying to type your message in, and then I said, "Oops, commercial's ending," and I double clicked, and here we are. Uh, a late night had by all. We had a good time last night. Thank you for being on the show, Jake Huston, and all that you do, and also to Dog Tag. We had a great time last night talking all things about Appalachian Trail and music and whatever. Happy Thursday morning. This is not a normal day. It's not a day for me and Rob, although you never know when he could drop in. He's always welcome, but it's just an extra morning show I like to do as long as things are going good. Tuesdays and Thursdays are kind of fill-in days for whatever. But this is just coffee with Dave this morning, and hope everybody's having a good start to your day. It has been a rainy last 30 hours or so here in North Georgia, and we are soaked. And I know that's that way across a lot of the South. My yard is a mini lake, parts of it seems like. So I probably got mud on my shoes as I walk back to the studio. The ground is soft. There's no, but at least it's not raining. We thank the Lord for the rain. But it has been rough. Good morning, Don. 86168 on the Instagram side, and everybody else that's jumping in this morning. Again, we're seeing some things happen in the news over the last. We didn't get to talk about it much because we were doing other programming, but Tulsi Gabbard did get confirmed. They have put forth Robert Kennedy Jr. toward now a vote, and so we'll see what happens on that with the Health and Human Services. She didn't waste no time getting going. There's a lot of news bites this morning. We'll touch on some of them here in just a minute. Yeah, Jake, we heard that go off last night when you talked about the tornado warning, and I know that you said, wow. I know we heard that while we were live on the air. Tornado warning here. Our roommate said that about 4 houses were gone in the tornado last night here in my hometown. Hope everybody is okay. I hate they lost property. It's definitely was bad. I mean, it's that's not what you want to hear while you're live on the air. I'm glad you're okay. Storms can be vicious. We have a unusually warm weather. Now it's going to turn cool, pretty not bitter cold or anything, but the temperature's really going to drop. We're going to see. That's what I was telling Dog Tag. He's stepping off. He's going into winter, so it's not bad during the day, but at night there will be 20s on the first part of his journey up the Appalachian Trail. Of course, I know he's prepared for that. But yeah, we're going to see a temperature change with all this. Along about that morning, though, what I was really alluding to is it might be a little ice for him, depending that morning as he'll already be down there. But as they venture out that morning, there could be a little sleet, depending on how the moisture is still doing that morning. Then it clears off. It looks like I was trying to check the news last night. But yeah, I hate to hear that. Yeah, there's some bad storms, I'm sure, associated when you got warmer weather and all the moisture and things that are going on. So we do have Cornbread Nation tonight. That is our live show, which is very different. We a scripted show for the most part, and also the introduction of Uncle Jeb, and soon, Georgia Bubba, another cohort, heart, whatever you want to say, of Uncle Jeb. So there is an Uncle Jeb video out, a MAGA Minute this morning. First time that he has done that. That's kind of out on most of the streams. There's a few that's still not up on yet. We'll get those handled here sometime. I was busy getting a lot of them up. There's still more to come along with that, but we're releasing those as quickly as we can. So greetings, Long Spear. How are you today? We hope that things are well. And was it South Africa? I think, if I remember right, we've got people from all over the world. I think I remember right on that. And greetings to you. Hey, that's the second time we've been called gentlemen. Get your coffee this morning or whatever time of day it is. Coffee's good any time of day, whatever time of day it is. Have some coffee. I just went upstairs and got mine. I didn't have time to brew this morning. I have some in the studio, but I was running really fast this morning, so I might call that late. Not really late, but I decided to go on up and get some. I do have it in the studio, but I didn't want percolating while we were on air. But yeah, good morning to you. Fixing to become a refugee. Yeah, good to be here. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your follow. We have followed you back. I'm pretty sure of that. Still love the name, but yeah, it's good to be here. Some pretty amazing news this morning. And by the way, the MAGA Minute for Uncle Jeb this morning for the podcast is about Social Security and all the work they're doing. It's kind of fun. It's about a minute long. They're designed. That's why it's called the MAGA Minute. Most people love them. Some people, you get your haters out there. Some sites are like, I can't believe you'd post that here. Well, I did. Oh, it's very nice of you to say. Let me put this up on screen here. Just say thank you for the donation, Dave, that you did last night. I do appreciate what you and Robert do. Just want to say thank you so much for treating me with respect last night. I go on the show a lot of times. They make fun of me because of my disability. I felt like I can open up the show last night without being judged by how I'm talking about we're very welcome. And as we said, we don't allow that on our show ever. And you know what? I just don't need it in my life. I don't treat people like that. I'm never going to be like that. We've all been bullied, picked on, or something throughout life. Freedom of thought. Uh-oh, my Wi-Fi may be acting up a little bit. But we allow them to have their freedom of thought, but we don't allow them to attack. And that's the thing. Treat people with respect. Yeah, a couple of news items is that I think is they're all significant, but a little more than others. U.S. and Russia to start talks on Ukraine war. That's huge. And listen, I think this is my prediction on this. I don't think Russia is going to pull back from the Donbass. I think they're going to continue to hold on to against a portion of that area. It's leveled a lot of it anyway. Ukraine still holds on to the western southern, I guess would call it, that leads up to the sea. They still have access there. A lot of those people, and I'm not making excuses for Russia, they are Russian speaking, and many of them sort of identify with Russia anyway because they were attached for so long. It's like Crimea, still controversial. I'm not advocating what they've done, but I think Russia's already begun a rebuilding program in that area. They're planning on holding on to it. I don't think that's going to go back. Some areas north of there, maybe they'll pull back to a line. I don't know. That'll be part of the negotiation. And I could be wrong, but I really dictator part of the negotiation is meaning he's gone. I think that they will want him to be on that. He didn't allow it. I think his own people probably, but yeah, I think he's soon not soon to be leader, but anyway, for the rest of the world, whatever happens there happens. We pray for all, and again, the slaughter just needs to stop. There's so many the soldiers on both sides are just cannon fodder right now. It's just a sludge as they just hammer each other with artillery and other weapons, drones. But the people that are just caught in this mess, we need to stop for that. So I think that hopefully that will speed up. They're also talking about peace in the Middle East. That's further. And of course, we're talking about Gaza and what's going to happen there with Hamas. That's pretty big news, and so we'll see what goes with that. Uh, there's also that headline: Trump wants the education department closed immediately. Now, whether he can get that done or not, um, thank you, Jake. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. I think that he get done or not by executive order. I'm not sure. Again, there's a lot of talk this morning. The main headline was White House says judges, not Trump, are causing constitutional crisis because there's all these lawsuits popping up, and they're claiming he's violating the Constitution. Um, See, Dave started. No, you're not. No, you're always on subject, brother. See, can you guys save your shows on the Twitch, please? Okay, yeah, I didn't know we could do that. I'll go in there and flip that. I haven't, I'm still getting used to Twitch, and I've went in there and I've noticed all the things they have, but definitely, okay, help. Younger, smarter than I am. But now we'll go in there and do it. But certainly we can do that. Sorry about that. That's a good point. Always on subject. Um, so Elon, he pushes for a quote wave of judicial impeachments, and this has really been what most I'm gonna say everybody. Good morning, everybody in Instagram, and there's our friend Jake over there. We appreciate you going in there and posting as well on the Instagram side. For decades, well, I say yeah, decades, but especially back during probably starting in the Clinton years and up through Obama, there was a lot of federal judge seats and things filled. Well, we'll just say some very left leaning judges, and that's where some of this problem has come from. And and I will admit, I'll agree with them. Not admit, I'll agree with them. If there's a constitutional crisis, it is these judges. And the last term, the first term of President Trump, he was able to fill some of those and get some good judges in place. But these are the judges that have let people off on major crimes. I mean, they just released them. You're welcome. They just released them without, not even a slap on the hand. Sometimes, I mean, these guys are nuts, and there's no way they're following the Constitution. It's amazing to me that the slippery slope. We live in the world of sue. I mean, that's really what it is, and that has been the operation of the Biden administration, especially, was to just to use the Justice Department and courts and everything just to lock down everything that's going on, and use that legal arm as really a battering ram over people. And even if they got defeated later, they put people through living hell and cost them a lot of money to defend themselves. J6ers, and you could go on and on. Corporations and whatever else. I mean, and individuals. Roger Stone, remember one, and how they've treated him and continue to come after him, or maybe not now. President Trump pardoned him, if you remember, and he actually sells a copy of that pardon on his website, and he is so thankful. But they continued to come after him with lawsuits, drained his life savings, and he's a podcaster, and he has to sell things and try to get advertising. His wife they both have health issues. They're older, and it's very. I'm sure some of the health issues have been exasperated by the strain of all that they've been put through, and he talks about that, and you can feel his pain. There's others like him. He's not the only one that they've done that to, and in some cases, because of the jackleg operation of the Justice Department, people couldn't handle the strain and they committed suicide, and that's horrible. I mean, and you say, well, they did this or they did that. Well, in some cases, they told the people, hey, there's going to be some misdemeanors. You're okay. Don't worry. We just got to get through the process. So these people relaxed. Said, okay, it's going to be all right. Then they came back later and say, oh no, we're going to file new charges, and you're looking at 20 to 25 years in prison. And that hit and that strain was just too much for some, and everybody has a snapping point, and some people just couldn't handle that. And we just don't know the half of it. I mean, some of the stuff that they've done to people, it's horrible. So I would agree with them. They were ordered. The administration was ordered to restore health agency websites. That's another headline this morning. And the administration is also appealing Maryland judge's birthright citizenship ruling. So these are just some of the headlines on. This is on Newsmax that is coming out, and this is just. I mean, there's tons of them. So many things that are going on so many fronts. Another thing that happened: Trump board fires Kennedy Center president. Of course, saying, the president now is the new chair, so he fired the president. This is just a staff. It's just a staff news article. But Deborah Rutter was let go, and newly filled with appointees by Trump had elected him chair and named Richard Grenell as interim president. Well, there'll be changes around there. Trump replaces billionaire philanthropist David Rubenstein as chair of the Kennedy Center, one of the leading arts organizations in the country that has enjoyed bipartisan support for years. Grenell, a former ambassador to Germany, I follow him on some of those things as well on the socials. I mean, interesting guy to follow. During Trump's first term, is also serving as an envoy for special missions in the president's administration and helping lead its response to the California wildfires. The move represents a swift takeover by Trump and his allies of a cultural institution in Washington that is known for its signature Kennedy Center honors performances in his home to the National Symphony Orchestra and the Washington National Opera. Trump did not attend the honors performances during his first term in office. He didn't agree with some of the attendees, I guess. Thank you for the follow on Twitch there, Jake. And I'll make sure we reciprocate. Trump did, Rutter had previously announced her intent to step down at the end of the year. Rubenstein had planned to serve as chair through September 2026. Last week, Trump, a Republican who in just over 3 weeks in office has sought to slash government's jobs and close agencies, including the Department of Education and the U.S. Agency for International Development, that's your USAID, announced his plans to target the Kennedy Center too. In a social media post, he lambasted for its having held, quote, end quote, drag shows. New members of the board include White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino, and Usha Vance, wife of, or if I say that wrong, was it Usha or Usha? Vance, wife of Vice President J.D. Vance. The board now has 31 members, appointees by former Presidents Joe Biden, including former Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, were dismissed. Others within Rutter's office were also let go, according to sources. So massive changes coming. So the more this happens, the more there's going to be. You follow Longspear. Okay. Good job, bud. Thank you for that. Longspear's good folk. I like Longspear. I'm glancing at news, but yeah, a lot of these are happening. I think with Gabbard going in, really the only hiccup here is Patel and Kennedy Jr. And I think these are going to go through. It's close. As long as Republicans don't break rank, I think we're okay. And I think at this point they're not going to do that. I think it's a lot of talk, a lot of I'm sure probably trying to get a little things going their way. That's the way Washington works sometimes, and so we'll see on that. But I suspect they're all going to go in now. Although Kennedy could still be a trip up, you just never know with something like that. So we'll see. Caroline Leavitt did say Trump seeks peace in Ukraine and the Middle East. So they're straight on right now about what they feel. Elon's taking a lot of heat, and Representative Pat Fallon of Texas, Republican, Pat Fallon of Texas, or who is a representative, said that Elon's is the good guy here, quote, the good guy here. As Musk and his Doge team, this is by James Morley III, continue to sift through mountains of transactions from government agencies, the tech mogul now claims to have uncovered several extremely suspicious activities at the U.S. Treasury. According to Musk, the Treasury Department alone is engaging in unequivocal and obvious fraud to the tune of almost $1 billion a week. I heard him talking about that, and that's truly astounding when you think about, and that's just what he's uncovered so far. Quote, the fact of the matter is that there has been at least 2.7 trillion wasted in the last 20 years, 764 billion under the Biden administration, and they don't even want to look at it under the hood. Fallon said during an appearance on Rob Schmidt tonight. That would be on Newsmax. Quote, this is insane. Of course, we need to do that because you know what? Fraud, waste, and abuse helps no one, end quote. Fallon said he's curious to see the Democrats playing, quote, playing the role of contrarian, end quote. Quote, if you notice the Doge Committee, a Democrat cannot speak for 5 minutes without saying either billionaire or unelected billionaire, oligarch, or Elon Musk, their heads are going to explode, end quote, he said. Quote, Elon Musk is the good guy here. He's not the villain, end quote. Well, anytime you're uncovering dirt, they're going to paint you up as an evil person. But I think Americans, for the most part, except the loonies that are out there talking crazy, the small groups of people that are standing on these little impromptu um, protest areas where they don't even know how to really speak. You never notice how awkward they are when they get behind the microphones, except for those there's those that just scream and they just repeat lies. Then there's those that they try to talk tough and they don't sound tough, and they have these little quote press conferences, little protest things. They get the cameras up there, and they like to pound the gavel or their hand, and then it's you can tell they're just awkward. They don't even know how to talk right, and we're going to get Trump, and then they have this little weird laugh they do. It's weird. It's like they all have that. It's just this, and then they have this little weird clap they do. I mean, it's very weak. I mean, it's almost like they've been paid to be there. Some of the people in the crowd, which I wouldn't doubt. They just throw these things up all the time for the soundbite, and they try to talk tough, and it just sounds like lunatics. I didn't anticipate anything less. I figured that they would come in and be other attacking. That's why I said the first few months would be rocky, as this was all going to roll out if they were going to move at that kind of speed, which they are, and the attack on President Trump would be intense and others in his administration. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of that go on, and they're gonna try to use the law in that. So amazing. On Fox, Trump administration lead article uncovers Biden team's $20 billion unprecedented rush job scheme with your cash. It's just amazing that there's still money around. EPA Administrator Zeldin demands return of $20 billion in taxpayer money wasted by Biden administration. The Environmental Protection Agency EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin said Wednesday that his team has located $20 billion in tax dollars that the Biden administration purposely wasted. Quote, an extremely disturbing video circulated 2 months ago featuring a Biden EPA political appointee talking about how they were, quote, tossing the gold bars off the Titanic, rushing to get billions of your tax dollars out the door before Inauguration Day, end quote. Zeldin said in a video, and I saw that video, posted to X, citing another video from December, the quote, gold bars, end quote, were tax dollars, and tossing them off the Titanic meant the Biden administration knew they were wasting it. Zeldin said the EPA has plans to recover the gold bars that were found parked at an outside financial institution, which he does not mention by name. He said that the scheme was the first of its kind in EPA history, and it was purposefully designed to obligate all the money in a rush job with reduced oversight before Inauguration Day. When are these people going to go to jail? I mean, that's my question. I mean, when are some of these people going to go to jail? I know it takes a little time to get all the evidence, but there need to be some charges filed, and these people need to go and be put in jail, arrested, and have to go to a trial for how they have done things. I mean, you know what, we knew it was ugly. I mean, we just know it's ugly, and the amount of debt that was piling up, and the way they were just throwing money around the world. I mean, it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. And it is lunacy. It's to think that anybody could just do that. As a someone born in America, lived almost 60 years of my life here, and paid fairly close attention to politics most of my life, knowing different things that have happened, and seeing those things. But it's even uglier than you really imagine, and it's just because it's shocking to think that here in America we would be. I mean, this sounds like something that happens in another country, but it was happening here. But the infiltration of all of our government entities, and just the far left, the extreme left that many of these politicians have went. They're just lunatics, and there's no way they love America. There's absolutely no way that they love America. I cannot in any way see that they have any love for this country, and it is absolutely a designed to destroy. I mean, they're doing everything they can do to hurt America, hurt the. I mean, to also fill their pockets. I also like the news article that showed they talk about this, how all these leaders or these politicians that went in and they make 220,000 a year or whatever it is, and how they has translated into tens of millions of dollars. I mean, it is obvious. There's no way you can't. The math doesn't work. Where does money come from? And I know that Nancy Pelosi will say stock market, but she has done incredibly well. We'll just say that seem to have found the right thing to do every single time. Makes you go, hmm. It really does. What do you have inside information? I don't know that. But then others, where'd that money come from? Where's the accounting for that? Well, let's pull your tax records and see where this money is claimed at that now you have. Where did you pay taxes on it? When did you pay taxes on it? Where did the money come from? Where's the money trail? They're always talking, about they always want to jump on Wall Street. By Wall Street, we're gonna take them down, the richest billionaires. Well, who are you talking about? Yourselves. How they been doing? It's funny. Whatever they accuse others of, that's what they're doing. It's the whole throw it out there, see what sticks mentality, and a lot of people fall for that. They just go with it. So, another article on Fox. Trump's pick for FBI boss, of course, Patel, vows to upend government, quote, government gangsters, end quote, face his first test. So, yeah, him and RFK Jr. are coming through. They don't like him either one of them. And another article, Dems combustible battle to derail Trump's health pick faces final gauntlet. Robert Kennedy Jr. So we'll see what happens. What about the gift room? Did you see that video, the gift room that the Democrat mayor had exposed by a Watchdog report? They were showing that this morning. I was watching that before I came to the studio. And just thought, they were kind of joking, saying, I'd like to have a gift room. Just the expense of that and what was in that room. I mean, it just goes on. Or the mayor. Remember that? There's a mayor, I think that is in the same state, in Illinois, who got in power and has just used that for her own the office of their credit cards for the city, their funds for her own personal gain. And she's made changes and almost made it impossible for her to be removed or even run against her and win. And it's not a huge town, but has just enriched herself. And the sad part is there are people out there that will celebrate that and say, well, we're because she's of color, that way they would get that it's just getting back their money. You can't run your cities like that. You can't, and that's what's happened. That's why our city's in such a mess. In Atlanta, it would be the fraud that happened. I don't know if it still is. The Atlanta airport. You can go back and read those stories. All the fraud, all the kickbacks, all the stuff that were happening with the Atlanta airport, and it was massive. And there were some people got in trouble. There was one that went to jail down there that was in an office down there and was stealing. Was also a pastor of a church, and they're and that's what I tell people that tell me people that say on here that no, these people never get caught, never go to jail. That's not true. It just needs to happen more. There's been plenty that have gotten in trouble and went to jail, but we need that to happen because there's just so many more of them. It's almost like the one that had to fall on the sword for the rest of them. But it's one of their own. I mean, they hire they promote these people, help them get into office, and they're just thieves. And I'm not saying it hasn't happened on the Republican side. It sure has. And thanks for the like there, Mike and Sandra McComb. We appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, you can't run your house like that. You can't do that, and there should be an accounting. Um, about I'm not one of the again. There are local watchdog groups that hey Spartan, there are local watchdog groups. I'm hoping to get that out today, my friend. If not today, by tomorrow, Jake. But there are watchdog groups that watch a local abuse, and they go to which we should, and go to council meetings and challenge wasteful. Like they pay attention to how say, and they get mad about it. They do, but police departments how they're using the patrol car. Are they using it when they're not supposed to be? Are they just wasting and stuff like that? Some people don't understand like when a police car is left running and they think, well, it's just waste. Well, there are reasons for that. So I try to be level about that. There's some people just want to, pinch it down to the smallest number. And why is 2.1 the most significant number in politics? I don't know, friend. I don't know. I hope you'll tell me. I don't know. You mean like 2 to 1 is two votes to one? Help me out. But there are reasons for that. I've done some security and people would question it, and I say, well, they have to leave it running sometimes because they may be on a call, and they do run calls if there's they keep the car pointed facing out and they're doing security at a store because, for instance, there might be something big happen, gunshots. This happened recently. It was a shooting at a local movie theater, and people have to sometimes they're called in to back up, and there's shortages nowadays. There's shortages in all of the police departments across the country, and they don't have enough numbers. They don't have enough detectives. I mean, it's bad all over. It's amazing, and they can't get enough people in the to go through the training to be an officer. And so, but we should always. I don't discredit what those people are doing because we should have those that are watching and making sure that these folks. We all should be that way. Uh, because we want to make sure that people are being fiscally responsible with the money that we give them. They have to live by a budget, and they do create a budget. It's a law that they have budgets, and so oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have heard that. I wasn't sure about that when you said that. And yes, you make a great point. It is by design. I mean, I'll get back to yours in a second, Jake. And I've said this for years, and I don't mind diverting here because this is true. For civilization to survive, you need over 2.1 per female. Every white country in the world has negative birth rates. This is by design. Well, and that has been promoted for depopulation, and America, and this is what they never tell you about why they, one of the reasons, not the only reason, but why they wanted all the folks crossing the border, because they have they've made Americans feel bad about having children. They really have. And we are the one that's not. I mean, you look at every other people group and they're large families, and I forget the number now of what it averages, but it is true that you look at in the Hispanic world, they have large families, the Islamic world, or whatever you want to say, and the numbers are true. I mean, you could go look at that. And in America, they've made people feel guilty. There's too many people on the face of the planet. There's, we shouldn't be having children, and they, it's the lie that it's too expensive and you can't raise more than a child or two. That's an absolute lie. I know people that do that. Then they don't make near the money that a lot of people make. You just have to know how to. You got to pay attention. You got to. There's ways to do it, and they don't suffer anything, and they're well taken care of, and you know they just the, but people are greedy and want to have all the improvements of life, and absolutely right, and it's just an out and out lie. And what I was saying, the reason they wanted all of those to cross the border, um, no, 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 and I wouldn't say that that Pop Z 766 7600, excuse me, on Instagram. You're right, but it is throughout around the world. They wanted the numbers because we your population will decline, and you have to bump those numbers, and that's how they were doing it. Is because the population of America would begin to shrink. That's absolutely true, and so without getting into color or anything like it, but it is true that you have to have that, and that's absolutely true about that. And they did create this, this pressure on, and people have bought into it, And so I ask people sometimes, hey, how many kids you got, and and just kind of testing that theory out. But they, So yeah, they have to, and but good morning to you, and thanks for being here. But they have to, they have to. You have to have a population. I mean, you can't just, or you go down. And so then they were going to feel that obviously with people they could create voters with, and vote their way. So it all goes into it. Uh, but there are a lot of males that have crossed over. That's true. There are a lot of families too. I don't know the numbers. Uh, if if it's that percentage or not, Spartan, I really don't know if it is. But there has been a number of that military age males that have come across, and people that are down on the border that have. I'm talking about independent reporters and people that go down and really covered this on both sides. Have seen that. So there is a lot of that. But there also, I just don't know the number. I don't know what that would be. But it is definitely. My parents from here, yes, well, yes, they were. Yes, my family. If you gotta go back to the 1700s. My parents are from. My parents are, or my great 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 greats are from England and Ireland. But we've been in the country since the late 1700s. Out there, it's around 1779, something like that. As I go back and look at it, but yeah. So I'm not against immigration. If that's where you're going, at all. I just want legal immigration. We're all immigrants from somewhere. Our families are certainly. But the point is about the birth rates, and it is true. I've been saying this for years, and was really Christian broadcasters have been talking about this for a long time because you know what scriptures say: be fruitful and multiply. And it's the children are a blessing. They're not a curse. They're a blessing. And we had two, but we couldn't have any more. We could not. My wife's health would not. She just couldn't have any more children. We wanted to have another, but we couldn't. We have several grandchildren, and we're happy about that. It's a blessing. So, but yeah, it's just it's important, and just this whole overpopulation thing. It's just manage your population as far as taking care of them. There's plenty of things. It's the mismanagement of the world. It's the waste of the world. It's the wars and the fighting and the greed of man to destroy. But there's plenty enough here to take care of everybody. It's not we're not overcrowded, and we can take care of all that we have. The earth is not dying, and we can take care of everybody. It's the greed of man. It certainly is. Um, well, to your question, I don't know who discovered. I guess those that got here first, whoever they were, and that could, there's debates on who that was. So, well, they weren't here in the beginning. I mean, they came from somewhere. They didn't just pop up here. They had to cross a land bridge or something. So they had to come up through some other place and come up. And whatever time frame that was, there were those that did it. So yeah, I don't know what your point you're trying to make. I'm not disagreeing with you. And I'm not against any people group. So I'm not understanding where you're going with that. I appreciate the comments. I just don't know what you're saying by that. Uh, because we all, like I said, we all came from somewhere. I'm not against immigration at all, that is not an intent of what I'm saying here this morning. I'm fully am for immigration, and have talked to people outside of the country who want to come here legally, and they're frustrated by the fact that they've been knocked out for a decade, and others have came over and been so some people that's what happens. And for some, they decide, well, I might as well join them because I'm trying to do it the right way, and I'm not getting anywhere. So I'm not as well. I understand Spartan. That you're free to feel that way. I'm not against it because I understand, and somewhere. In fact, most scientists came from in the that we had have came from Europe, and there's just many things they have given unto us, into our country and made us better. So and that's the thing, when you want immigrants, we do take those that are in hardship situations of war and stuff like that. There is that, but one of the things you want with immigrants is that they come and they better your country. You want someone be able to bring something to the table, some sort of skill. And it's like our friend that we were at Fresh Press Farms. Now he came in under a program that went into California, and they taught him to farm. And of course, he was in the olive and other things. Well, he went to college, and then he used all of that skill to then come to Georgia, and now they have the olive trees and other things at Fresh Press Farms, and he's using that skill that he had. So that bettered his family, it bettered him, and it bettered America. And he's he's happy to be here and is legal and making a difference in America, and loves Georgia football. I love that too. So I love that. Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't defend us. Those things. And listen, when I look back in history, there are no perfect people. None, none except Jesus. So we can find fault with a lot of people in history, certainly, and some of those may have helped advance some things, but they could have morally corrupt and bankrupt in other ways. And really, we all morally bankrupt because of Christ. There's no good. So I get that what you're saying, but well, yeah, I mean there wasn't any to have back then. It was so true. I don't disagree with that. What brought people here were different reasons. Some were freedom of religion. Some were looking for a way to make more money off the resources of the police. And there was groups. The country was a lot of and other ways because of the fights that were going on to control. There's a lot of control. I mean, and that came from the religious groups as well as it came from dictators, kings, or whatever. They were all trying to get a foothold here. I mean, every state had something like that going on the East Coast anyway, because there was no Western expansion yet by the Europeans. But so yeah, it's good discussion this morning, y'all. Um, um, I don't know that Spartan. Don't remember that. Um, so well, there's nobody better than anybody, brother. There's nobody better than anybody. So there's no people group that is better than anybody. I don't promote a nationality, a color, or anything. We're all sinners and we're all guilty, and so uh, and God is no respecter of person. So I don't promote a color or anything like that. It is we just recognize there's sometimes there are a lot of good in people and there's a lot of bad in people groups as well. So I definitely get. I just say there's nobody better than anybody. So that's the thing I always tell people. You're no better than me. I'm better than you. We're all guilty. So we all have to face the same judge, and it'll be how we stand before them and what we do with what we've done with our sin, and also how we lived our life. So yeah, there's nobody better than anybody. I don't proclaim myself to be better, and I'm not. I'm not better than anybody. But I am made acceptable through the blood of Jesus Christ. So there is that. So I'll stand on that. So, but God bless you. So thank you for being here and being vocal. We appreciate it. From all over the world. Where are you from, Pop Z 7600? Where are you from? I mean, where do you live? Where do you abide? Not really from. Where do you abide? I like to know where y'all from. It's just interesting. What area of the world? Nice to know. Okay, bring me a question. I had one for you. Answer mine first. You don't mind. Again, happy Thursday, and I hope everybody has a great day. Hope things are well with you and your family. I would ask you for those that pray. Some people say they don't. I get it, but for those that pray, I have a number of folks that need some prayer this morning, including my wife. She has had we believe, a mini stroke, and it has affected her speech, and she's got to have a scan done. She's okay, but she's got to go get some things better. And California, okay, welcome from California. We I know I work with a man who had a stroke. Uh, Pray for him. He's okay, but they got to do a lot of testing. There's a friend I used to work with. He was asking prayer for his aunt. My son was asking prayer for two friends of ours. One who lost his daughter recently, and also for another gentleman who's been sick. Spent a lot of time in the hospital. He's getting better, but he's still not there. So please pray for all those folks if you pray. Thank you for that, Popsy. Amen to that. I do too. And that's why part of our show is get up, pray up, and coffee up. If you coffee, but you got to get up and you got to pray. And you did. Okay. Yeah. That's anytime, they say minor and you hear that word stroke and you hear minor and you're like, okay, it's, it could have been major, I guess. And that would be horrible, but hopefully they get fixed, whatever's, happened. And, because you got to take care of yourself. Every day is a blessing and a gift. And, you want to live your life and, as long as you can. I'll be here as long as I can for my family. Uh, and I, yeah, I do have that, that pic. That was, this was one of the backgrounds that I made up from Rob. We like it. We just don't use it all the time. And that was a gift that I think my sister got me that. And it's a cup. And so I took it one day and I thought that would look, I was just trying to find out some pictures I could put in the background for me and Rob. And that one kind of caught my attention. So do you like that little fella? Yes, our time is unexpected, and every day is a gift. It is but a vapor, it appeareth for a little while, then fadeth away. You live every day to the fullest. Tell people you love them every day. Don't go to bed mad if you can. At least agree to solve your problems. Don't let the sun go down upon your wrath. And just don't live a life of regret. And I know people right now that have been in arguments with family members, and that family member died, and they didn't get a chance to make up with them and say, really because the argument was over money or over a disagreement about whatever, and really they do love them, but they realized it ended bad. And for the they probably placed too much pressure on themselves for that, but that's the way they feel, and I don't ever challenge anybody for how they feel. It's like grieving. You grieve as long as you need to grieve if you've went through something like that. But you gotta think about that, because words have power, and you want to tell people that you care about them when you can, as often as you can, and it is important. It's like tell your kids that. I always taught my kids. There's a generation that came before me, at least in my dad's generation, and the dads didn't say that they loved us very much. I'm not saying it was universal, but it is very common. I've tested this theory out time and time again. I know my dad loved me. In late life, he would tell me he loved me, and it is from The Mandalorian. It is. I like that show. I hadn't watched any of. I missed part of it, but I did watch it quite a bit. But I always made it a point to tell my kids that I love them, and yeah, all we can do is leave a character. Material things can be replaced. Absolutely, absolutely. And I always tell my kids, true to that. On the phone with me, or they see me, they always tell me that they love me, and I appreciate that. I mean, it means a lot to me and my grandkids. We press that to them too. It's important to let people know that. And the whole thing, I always hate when I hear people say, well, they should just know. They just should know that I loved them. And I would say, well, you got to tell them. So there's that comment. Good comment. Absolutely. So yeah, you want to tell people that you care about them, and make sure they know exactly how you feel. It's important. It is very, very important to tell people that you care about them. And you can never say it too much. You really cannot say it too much. And I live life. One of my word for myself, and we cut up and go on here for the show. We like to have a lot of laughter, but really the way I describe myself is an encourager, and I try to be an encourager to people whenever I meet them, however brief that is, to encourage them and celebrate their the things that have helped them, that they accomplished in life, and encourage them to go on and do better. And people have done that for me, and I try to pass that along and do that for them. I love people, I do, and I'm very patient with people. If I meet someone in their house, unless they just were attacking physically or something, I had to defend myself. somebody says something, I just try to let it go. I figure one, they don't know me, and two, they just may be having a day. If it's a pattern, then it's a pattern, and you deal with it, and you can tell people, hey, listen, I choose to not deal with you for my own mental health, if nothing else. But I tell people if you're not going to dislike me, I can't change that. I can't make it right. I can't make you like me. Nobody can. But what I do choose to do is I'm going to love everybody, and that's what the scriptures tell me is to love, and that's what I choose to do. And that's a soul that was placed on this planet by the Lord, and He died for everybody, and no matter how vile they may be to me, He died for them too. And so I'm not their judge. I'm nobody's judge, and I don't only judges by the scriptures, and that's just to tell people the truth. But I don't judge people. It's I don't go through life doing that. You just want to love people, care about people, help people, and you never know what little change might help somebody along the way. And it's very powerful. You can make a huge impact with small. You might be the person that smiled at them. That I remember I talked to her one time. She was working for me at a job, and I told her that I was, and I said, "Whoa, did I say something wrong?" And she said, "No, you don't understand." She said, "I have never," and she was in her early to mid 20s, and she said, "I have never had anybody tell me that they were proud of me." She said, "I wanted to hear it from my dad. I never heard it from my dad. Never to this day once heard it from my dad that he was proud of me." And I thought, that's truly sad. That is absolutely horrific that a dad would do that to his daughter. And it's criminal. I mean, it is morally criminal that you would do your child that way. And it just flooded out of her as I told her that. And I hope that some way it helped her to heal and hope. And I was proud. I don't remember what it was. To me, it was just that was normal operation. She did something, and I was like, "Hey, I'm real proud of her." I think it was something she accomplished or something. She was telling me about it, and I said, "Hey, good job. I'm proud of you." And as soon as I said that, boy, she just busted out crying. And I just couldn't imagine carrying around that weight, all that feeling of that, and never having anybody tell you they're proud of you. That's horrible. And kids, I have a special affinity for these kids that they don't come from a good home, or it's broken. They don't have, maybe they do have, maybe if they do have parents, then they're not really investing in them, and they don't really put their kids up there and promote them and help them. And I try to find some way to encourage them, and that's just find different ways to do that, and encourage them to do better, encourage them in school, encourage them to learn. And their minds are like sponges. And you know, sometimes, and I remember, and I can't get very detailed because some people might figure it out that know us. But there was people I rode the bus with when I was going to school, and I was picked on the bus. I was a very quiet kid. I was a shy kid. I just, and because I was very shy, people just took advantage of that. I wouldn't let people pick on me, but people said things, and I was very quiet. So I didn't have a lot of friends early on, and but there were people on the next street, and they got picked up, and it was even worse for them. So it's sad to say, it was almost a relief for me that they got on the bus because they were treated worse than me. But I felt bad for them, and I really wished, that I had been more vocal and spoke up for myself and others. I did later on, and people now say, "Oh, there's no way you were shy." No, I was very shy. I was really shy, and I could sit in a room, you wouldn't even know I was there. I was so quiet. I just thought more. I listened. I listened a lot. That was the way I did, and uh, definitely a people watch. I like to watch people act, what they do, how they act, and sometimes, anytime, I wonder where is at. Somebody that's really it manifests itself in many different ways. They could be angry, aggressive, timid, carrying around a lot of whatever. I always wonder the pain point. Where's it from? Where did that come from? You weren't born that way. Where did it come from? What has damaged you? And what do you need to release that is causing you to be this way and treat other humans that way? What is the pain point? who harmed you? You know, what harmed you? And try to get that, because the people are carrying around all this deep seated guilt and pain, and then they grow up and you're working. Hear me? We've got bad weather still, and it's not great. But sometimes you have to deal with them or road rage or whatever. But where's the pain point from? Who made that person like that? They weren't born that way. So I don't know. That's, you know, what I always think, what's your pain, brother? I didn't cause it. I'm just there. I'm just in the way. I'm somebody that they can, you know, take it out on. But they're angry. They're angry. They're angry at life. And that goes way back. And 99% of the time, it's childhood. This is in almost honestly, in every case that I have ever did counseling with, it was always a childhood trauma. Always. Uh, and sometimes that trauma could be in one for affects people like it, or it could be sustained abuse. And unfortunately, there's a the moral the sin of man has damaged, and probably within the chat this morning, within the people, whoever hears my voice, within someone in this group, how many ever that number is, there's somebody that's been hurt. Now you may have already gotten help of that, you may have, but you still may be suffering from, you know, the memory of it. But and there's some that maybe not, but you've carried that around for all of your life, and it's deep. It's you know, it's a part of you you're not proud. You know, you're embarrassed by, or maybe not even proud of, how you know, get angry about it. You've hid it away. You've packed it away, but it's still there, and you can't get away from it. So we have to deal with it, and that's just facts. And you got to we all have to have that. We all have to have a release of that. Learn how to manage how we feel about that, and you know, just release it. Just let it go, because it's a heavy weight carried around. When we carry around damage, you know, stuff that has damaged us and hurt us. I remember one guy told me, he was a heavy set kind of guy, and he had his own uncle called him fatty all the time, and it really bothered him. He carried around this. It hurt him. He never told his uncle how he felt, and he told me that himself. I didn't have. I mean, one day he just told me. He just opened up and he said, you know, it's always bothered me, and he thinks it's funny, and it's not funny to me. Or a guy that is not very tall, and there's somebody nicknames him Shorty. Some people are okay with it. I'm not saying it's not, but for this person, it bothered him because they didn't take the time to know his name. By the way, I'm gonna have to go to work here in a minute, but that is important. Learn people's names and use them. It is very, very important. And I'm a struggle with remembering names. I try my best to pack it in there so I can remember it. But remember somebody's name and use it and address them that way. It is important. They want you to do that. And if you just never do that, it's a level of, it's a little bit of disrespect, even if you don't mean it that way. Learn somebody's name and use it. And you know, try to build people up, not tear people down. Hey, we can have comedy and all that. Okay, a good comment here. In my case, my father was a bad alcoholic, very mean drunk, but learned to deal with it. God bless you. I hope you don't mind me putting that up, because if you put it in there, I think you're okay with it. And that is very common. And I want to say this also real quick. And I talked to a lady one time, and she said, you know, it's young girls, they look at their daddy is their guide for their, without even realizing it. They're looking, and with boys, their mom, when they're looking for a spouse. And I was talking to a lady one time, and I said that statement, and I said, you know, if how your dad is, you got to be careful. You'll find that kind of person. She said, that's absolutely true. My dad was an alcoholic. And without realizing, I went out. My first husband was an alcoholic, and it was horrible. And I realized that I married someone that had a lot of qualities like my dad without even trying. It just happened. And she said I was miserable. And so I think about that as I had two boys, but I'm raising a granddaughter and have influence over a lot of young girls. I dropped some off at school, and some have adopted me as a grandpa. And I think about that as you have that impact that you make every single day on somebody, and to make it as positive as you can. I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm glad you learned how to manage that and deal with that. And it's so true. Hey, it's good we talked this morning. That was coffee. You need some coffee for that level of talking. I hope everybody's good. God bless all of you. I do have to go to work, or I'd keep going. This is great. There's a lot of people in here, and there's a lot of good discussion going on. And I appreciate each and every one of you. We'll be back to the Cornbread Nation. I may do a late show tonight on Thursday night. Sometimes I'll do that. And then we have programs on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So there's something just about every day, if not every day, we have programming. I do have to drop some kiddos off at school, go to work. They're out of school tomorrow and Monday, but I got to drop them off today on a rainy Thursday. God bless you. I'm glad to be a part of this day. Thank you for stopping by the Southern Fried Podcast. I'm Dave in the AM, and I appreciate you so much. And like and follow. It's nice to see the number go up, but we're and it just helps us. And thanks, Jake. I don't know if he's still out there. Thanks for all you do for us, buddy. The sticker's coming your way soon, and we appreciate you so very much. Great Thursday, and God bless, and we'll see you soon. Salute.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seats. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show.